Are you on the edge of your seat? Because we're about to sound off with Kevin Williams, covering today's latest trends in location-based entertainment. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire. All right, everyone, let's buckle up.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to Sound Off number 60. Sound Off number 60. That's as you were saying before, time does indeed fly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we have a packed Sound Off for you today. Definitely going to be some good conversation. And to kick off that conversation, we're going to start off with a change my mind. So, how are we going to change my mind?
Well, yeah. Sorry, I'm a Luddite, so you can't change my mind. But is really this land grab that we're seeing in the location-based entertainment able to continue at the pace? A bit of a mouthful there, this one, but it's self-descriptive. We are seeing so many location-based entertainment projects opening up at the moment or in development at the moment. Can this pace continue? Especially for us older bunnies that remember the 1998 LBE crash after that boom. Discovery Zone, look it up. It was quite a messy period, and I'm just wondering if we're due for another period of the long nights. Am I being too much of a doom and gloomer, Brandon?
Oh man, I think the one difference between now and 1998 is that we are firmly in the experience economy, and people are seeking experiences for their families, for their kids, for each other and their friends to go out and have social experiences or active experiences or anything that's, not in front of a screen or, not, tied up in their house. So I think that's the one major difference. At the same time, the saturation will ultimately get there, but it'll happen in the same way that we saw either consolidation in the trampoline park space that we saw, about 10 years ago, or in a bunch of shuts as well as a result of that, or we'll see. I mean, I do think that it can't sustain this level of constant growth, even in the experience economy that we have today.
I agree. The argument is this isn't a boom and bust, but it is definitely going to be a transitional period. This cannot continue the way it is. The bubble cannot continue. But when the bubble goes pop, it doesn't mean that it's all going to disappear as we saw in 1998. I think we're going to have a foundation of an industry and an audience that has been educated enough to enjoy this kind of social environment, though it's going to need saner heads and better investments to grow this market to be able to make it a mainstay.
Yeah.
The same way we went through with laser tag, the same way, as you said, we went through with laser tag, the same way we're going through with VR. The idea may be sound, but it's got to generate revenue. And so boom, bust, reconstruction, reinventation, sorry, not a word, but the reinventing of the location-based entertainment market following this period of sustained success is going to be very great to watch and very exciting to be part of an industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, coming up next, we have, we're going to dig into the latest trends in the industry. But before that, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon. All right, let's jump into the latest business trends.
Well, I thought we'd have a laugh at the beginning, and Slug Ball was presented to me as a baseball version of Top Golf. Remember, I said a couple of sound-offs ago about everybody was trying to tag on the equivalent of whatever they were doing to Top Golf. This one has no gamification in it at all. I recommend, if you want to know more about it, you go off to their URL and have a look at their video. It's very self-explanatory. It is short play baseball, i.e., no running. It is just hit the ball into certain sectors to achieve a score. I wish them a lot of luck with this. I think that they could have gamified this. They could have gone for a process, but to be honest, we already have that with Dugout. Maybe they want to go down the physical side of using existing stadiums reconfigured to play their unique short fall game. I would actually say this is short form rounders, but then I'll start a big argument between the Americans and the Brits over the game. Either way, it is trying again to make the entertainment experience much more social with the drinking and the snack element for the audience, trying to make it a shorter game, the same way that American football and basketball had to go through a process to be redeveloped to be suitable for television viewing. These type of experiences seem to be going down the path of trying to make them more acceptable for competitive socializing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is not, in my view, competitive socializing at all. This is just a new type of sports league. This is like adult kickball or adult softball, or even ultimate frisbee or something like that. This is not competitive socializing, and to call themselves a version of Top Golf, like that home run dugout, like as you mentioned, is a version, is baseball for Top Golf, not slug ball.
If there's a popular phrase out there, I'm surprised they didn't add Bitcoin to the end. Talking about the popularity of competitive socializing is, of course, the explosion in golf sims. The study went out a couple of days ago. The data came back, and it's the wet finger in the air, crystal ball speculation on what the worth of the market is, but the data went out there, and they said that the 2023 market was worth $1.77 billion, and they're proposing that the golf simulation market will be $4.34 billion in 2032. The problem is here that we've got too many apples and oranges here. We've got them saying golf simulation, but they're also roping in there the consumer golf simulation market, the rec room systems that some people have in their mansions, as well as some people have in their home systems. They're also including the competitive socializing venues, and they're also including the growth of the social entertainment competition golf market. And talking about that market, our friends at TGL, I now know what the T stands for, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Golf League had their first airing on ESPN Zone and their first live performance. Mixed reviews, very popular, but people say the brand still needs a little bit of work to get the format down right. But that's what you would expect with these kinds of things. But this event has energized the golf sim sector to a level where we're seeing an increase in competitive socializing venues, including a sports sim bay, if not multiple bays, to their mix, along with their AR darts, along with their shuffleboard, along with their virtual reality systems. For me, the ESPN Zone streaming of this got a lot of social media coverage, as well as the provenance and the popularity of the players that were involved. And I am just blown away with where the golf sim sector is going. And that follows quite nicely with the news that our friends at Five Irons Golf has turned up the gas on their plans to roll out more facilities, partly based on new investment that they've managed to ascertain, partly due to a partnership with a new franchisee in the Florida area. And so they're talking about in the Florida state alone that they will be having 12 brand new facilities. And Five Irons is making the point clear that the venues are not just simulation sites, but they're also watching party venues.
Yeah, I think that I think if they go down the path of making the watching parties for the TGL, that's then they'll really start driving more repeat visitation. And I think what's interesting about this is that golfers are golfers and they like to golf on a regular basis. They go to driving ranges to improve. They like to have drinks as well, and this is a nice weatherproof environment to go and practice your game. It doesn't beat going out on the course and actually smelling the grass and enjoying the fresh air. But man, especially if you're in a cold place, this is a great place to go and keep your game fresh, as well as then watch some golf with your buddies.
Running a golf course and having a fantastic F&B component is a very difficult thing to do. And usually those venues that do it right charge a very high level of club membership fee. Here is the ability for individuals to have their game and then go somewhere else, maybe to practice, maybe to watch events happening, and also to have a reasonable level of food and beverage. There is a synergy here. And as the golf industry is plowing a vast amount of money, both with the Saudi game and also with the TGL, into trying to attract a new audience, I kind of see the simulation golf facility or the golf experience being a component in that growth. Mm-hmm. As I talk about rapid expansion and franchising, we've touched upon franchising in the previous sound off, the pros and cons of that, but we are now seeing established brands really turning up the gas, to use that phrase again, in trying to roll out quite a considerable land grab of venues in certain key territories that are popular. So our friends at Battle Carts, they've had great success in the European market. They've now sat down with representatives and agents. They've been showing their product at shows, most notably their demonstration at the 2023 IALPA Europe event, where they actually turned one of the halls into a mock-up of one of their projection mapped karting environments. Anyway, they are now looking at world domination, as many companies are now doing, as they see there's an opportunity in this market, with a quite extensive rollout of venues, 120 locations in North America and worldwide dominance. If you look at the slide here, you can get the details of the key areas where they're going to really work hard. And we've already reported in Open and Shut about their first Australian site opening up. Same with our friends at Activate. They have sat down with a franchisee for the UK, and they're really looking at a European and UK rollout of about 30 to 33 facilities. They already operate in North America, 32 facilities, but they are now with their partner We Do Play, looking at quite a robust deployment. We had the chance when we were in London to stick our nose through the door of the Activate facility in the O2. That will soon be joined with another venue in London in the next couple of months, and the progression will continue. I am interested to see how well Activate will have legs in this particular market, as it doesn't have an F&B component. But again, that may be subjective compared to what they're trying to achieve. Any comments about that, Brandon?
After going and walking into one, I struggle with their standalone concept surviving. We at the very beginning, when we were talking about the meme, the trend, or not the trend, but the meme, and this is one of those that is just they're going off and trying to grab as many locations as possible, scale as quickly as possible, and without really having seen whether or not this concept has legs and has longevity. And I think this is one of those that is going to suffer the consolidation or constriction.
They can grow their brands. They can drop in different experiences, so they can build a repeat visitation model. Without F&B, I think it's a lot harder to achieve that. But All of these facilities have to achieve one important thing: engagement with their audience. And if they can't engage with their audience, they can't encourage them to come back. If they can't encourage them to come back, they become a one and done facility. And if they become a one and done facility, they're deader than corduroy. They're as dead as the dodos.
Yep.
But I'm looking forward to them proving us wrong with this particular brand. The big development for me was seeing Cinemark throw its hat into the ring regarding Cinetainment. I've been talking about Cinetainment on these sound offs for the last 60 odd presentations. It's a major component of the future of the cinema industry. The cinema trade, NATO and all of the other trade associations have fully embraced the possibility that entertainment has to be married to their cinema offering. And so we see cinema, who've been sitting on this project for a long period of time, plough 20 million buckaroonies into a 40,000 square foot purpose-built site that will house not just top line cinema auditoriums, even with XD theatre capability, but will have a dedicated amusement component: bowling, suspended climbing frame, high-level amusement, all of the works with a social entertainment element. This is as important for me as Rec Room was for Cinetainment, as important as some of the other what I call Cinetainment, entertainment and cinema mixes that are in development or who have been developed and now being re-evaluated to try and survive the market. The cinema apocalypse hasn't gone away. It's just been delayed a little bit by some successful films. And we have quite an interesting lineup of movies coming in the next couple of months in 2025. That said, the profit margins from those cinema tickets, impacted by the cost of living, impacted by the disposable income pressures that people are feeling, mean that the dwell time has to increase. And increasing the dwell time can be achieved only by adding an entertainment component and an F&B component. And this is what we're seeing here. I'm looking forward to seeing if what they get for their 20 million when we visit this site, because we're going to have to go to Texas, because Texas at the moment seems to be a hotbed of test entertainment facilities as well as established chain redesigns. So talk about dropping your new concept into the harsh crucible of change. But again, if you can make it in the Texas market, you can make it anywhere.
Well, I mean, I think that's true, but I also wonder if they should be finding some other path forward. And the reason I say that is in Texas already, you have well-established players like Synergy and Santikos that have purpose-built from the very beginning. I mean, Santikos is not entirely accurate. Some of their new ones they've built are...
They've pivoted now to fully embrace it.
They began that pivot 5+ years ago. So Cinemark's coming late. And I wonder if there's a different path forward. I don't know what that is. I don't have suggestions, but I feel like when you're just trying to play catch up and do what everybody else is doing, instead of trying to find something unique, all you're doing is just putting more blood in the red ocean, and instead of finding out that blue ocean to go and pursue.
I'm sure those investors would like them to do something. And so they've been talking about doing something for some time, and now they have stuck their flag in the ground, to continue the land grab analogy. And we will see. They will learn lessons from this, and hopefully they will create a much better mix of entertainment. For me, looking at the designs for this that have been leaked and looking at the basics, it feels like forcing a main event into a cinema facility. But again, I don't want to shoot it down before they throw the doors open. Let's give it its 9 months of survivability in the harsh Texas market and see how well it does. It would be good to get round to the facility in 9 months and actually see the longevity of this concept. Our friends at Sandbox VR have received a brand new tranche of investments, $6.8 million of investments towards building their franchise model. They have a target that they've now officially set for themselves, which is 2027 to have opened 200 venues. Oh my God. They have 55 open at the moment. And they claim that in the US market, their average sandbox entertainment venue generates 1.7 million in annual revenue. Not profit, revenue. So that's an interesting number. Get the EBITDA out, go into the details of what the profit margin of that. Can you retrieve your investments to open a sandbox VR facility, as well as pay back the various loans, hardware, and licensing fees with that type of money? We don't know. We would have to go into more detail to be able to do that. But they have set aside quite a large budget to roll out as many as possible. And so they've also painted a target on their back, because 2027 is an interesting time point. That will be exactly at an anniversary point for the investment that they have received from their original Chinese backers. And I would assume that that will be the timing for their flotation. I am not putting words in their mouth. I am just speculating, and this is not the opinion of the Stinger Report or any of the companies I represent. This is just a personal opinion. I look to be proven wrong on that one, but 2027, to pick that and to say that you're going to have two facilities by that point, kinds of tells us that they're working to a timescale. And like you were saying about Activate, it's another venue that needs to work very hard not to be a one and done, though we touched upon that regarding our London visit and our chance to watch the birthday parties in flow at the City of London sandbox venue.
So so a friend of mine is has an operating group, and they operate multiple franchises, within this industry. And this is actually recently a franchise that they added to their portfolio. But one of the tactics that they're using is to actually find spaces where, within micro regions, and also highly populated micro regions, where they drop in a sandbox in one area, they drop in another franchise model, another franchise
box.
And so while they're not all in the same space, they are able to leverage cross promotion and centralized marketing and everything else. And I think in that scenario, if you take 1.7 million in revenue plus whatever other revenue is generated by these other locations and are able to share operational services, I think in that scenario, there's a possibility that this can work. But I do think, again, Sandbox VR, Activate, these single attractions, potentially single visit or one visit a year type locations are going to struggle.
Well, what you're describing, your friend is developing, is a chocolate box without the walls. Mm-hmm. He's allowing each one of these facilities to feed off of the catchment. Hopefully they're using a centralizing payment system and a marketing system and a branding system and even a food system. And if you can share off of the repeat development process, then you can drop in a sandbox and activate a Top Golf, a flight club, not the big one, not with all the bells and whistles, but just enough of that entertainment to then offer the chocolate box for the repeat visitation, the foot traffic, and then suddenly you have a winning formula. And that, for me, is the market that I want to work in, rather than a market which is just full of 200 standalone sandbox VR sites. Talking about the rollout of VR as a mass entertainment experience, and we have to also be mindful of VR being used as a experience or exhibition kind of system. We've seen this in a number of cities around the world, mainly funded by Fever, but here we have in Japan the opening of a brand new immersive journey experience. They have a selection of climb up the pyramids, climb down Everest, see Pompeii explode, all of these kinds of experiences. You put on the headset, you're in groups of up to 75 guests at a time. You go through a linear process, which is in an immersive environment, and then kicked out the other end through the gift shop. And hopefully, when you change this experience up the next time and notify them, they're interested enough to come back and try the next one on the list. This is the visitor attraction with the ability of simple replacement and re-engineering of the experience. Flick of a mouse, you're Pompeii. Flick of a mouse, you're the pyramids. Those kinds of experiences, as well as being able to accommodate a large number of individuals that are experiencing the journey together, is part of what I keep on going on about shared reality. And this is one of the rare occasions where virtual reality can be used in a shared reality experience. Again, our friends at Sandbox VR are offering free roam VR, but it's free roam VR within a very small environment. Here, this free roam experience is in a much larger area with a much larger audience, so offering a much larger return on investment. But I put this in the same bucket as our friends with the Van Gogh experience, where you're using projection maps to put people through a linear process. This is just using virtual reality.
Yeah, I think the one major difference between the Van Gogh experience and any other projection mapped walking experience is that you can just walk in, and the amount of staff required to staff up versus the amount of staff that's got to be required to suit everybody up and get them all loaded, and what that load time and unload time is out of the space has got to be astronomical. I mean, it's probably a 2-hour experience. I don't know how long the experience is, but it's probably adding an extra
60 minutes.
Yeah, well, then it's at least an hour and a half, because you're adding 15 minutes on either end to try to
get all of the 75 before you push them in.
Right, exactly. So anyway,
so you have them mulling around. If you know that they pre-booked, you've got your 75 maximum, though I think it's more like 45. The times that I've done this type of experience has been about 40 to 50 people. You mill them around in a holding pattern, and then you push them into the experience, and you're only as fast as the slowest individual going through the experience. And I'm always the slowest one usually, because I like to try and break everything and see where the edges show within these experiences. Yeah. Whatever the metrics, you have to charge a certain high price for that experience. It has to be engaging, it has to be compelling, and virtual reality comes with a lot of limitations. But it is part of the facility development we're seeing in the market. And when we talk about the virtual reality market and the immersive standalone site, we have to talk about the brutal facts that this is a market that is going through a very big growing pain. I'm working on a document at the moment for a trade association on the fallout from what's been happening in the VR arcade and facility business, location-based facility. And, it is clear that a lot of these sites are finding it harder. They're not seeing that $1.7 million annual return on that, and that they're going through trying times, and they're trying to reinvent themselves. And while I was in London, I stuck my nose up against the glass at the Other World VR location in Victoria, 5 months after the doors had closed on that facility, and the owner of that site hasn't found a replacement to go in there. And it's quite sad to see the VR venue still populated with all of the equipment and all the theming. I don't know if those pods still have the VR hardware sitting inside there, but boom, and you're gone. 3 facilities gone overnight, and no replacement going into them. And we're going to be seeing a lot more of that as the cold, hard reality of business under the current inflationary conditions that we're under at the moment really bites home. There's no room for you to speculate now. You have to be either achieving what you claim you were achieving, or you're going to be visited by the Grim Reaper. And the Grim Reaper has been going around some of the larger entrants in this sector. Our friends at Merlin have been going through the restructuring after getting rid of their CEO. They've also now started quite a sharp layoff process. Their Legoland Florida facility is seeing over 200 individuals being laid off from there. The Alton Towers Park in the UK is also going to see quite high numbers of staff laid off as Merlin goes through the process of restructuring and reevaluating their business under the current financial conditions. And those conditions are the inflationary market, the cost of living, the spend per capita of their audience, as well as their needs to stay relevant with the new competition that they're going up for. That disposable income entertainment budget in most people's back pocket is being eaten into a lot. If we have people going now more regularly every Friday to a competitive socializing entertainment environment, then that eats into the money that they would have normally spent in their August or their September or their June or July holiday and vacation time. So, these are all the things. Merlin's is starting the process. Be prepared to see all of the other parks in the theme park sector and the water park sector going through this restructuring, as well as new entrants entering the market that can benefit from not having the baggage around their necks, not having to restructure, but starting with a clean piece of paper, able to move fast and break things.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing as we move on to the next slide, but Cedar Fair has also recently gone through some of this type of movement. And I don't know if you caught the news, but last week, King's Dominion saw a large amount of their staff cuts, as well as even some fairly high-level executives there. So yeah, I don't know if it's that time of year or if it's a sign of something greater happening within the larger park industry.
The park industry, after the Six Flags merger, has to take a look in the mirror. With Universal opening up and with the interest that their epic universe is going to have, that is a ripple that will be felt through the market. Disney is guarding its loins against what they have to do to be relevant against that. And I think the rest of the industry has to be positioning itself. There's also a lot of gatekeepers that need to move on in the sector, individuals that have defined a certain way of doing business, and now the business has changed. New administration, new way of looking at the business model, and so starting with a fresh approach is essential to stay relevant. And restructuring is usually the first signs of that fresh approach. Merger and acquisitions are continuing apace. Also, one UK Zip World. Zip World UK was acquired for, £100 million is nothing to sneeze about. This operation runs a number of 8 zip line sites in the UK, Wales, Manchester, London, all of that. Zipline business is strong. It's part of the adrenaline entertainment side, the active entertainment side. And I can see many more venues looking at adding a zipline application as part of their added spend within their locations. So this is a good time for the company to be acquired and then have the investment placed into them to be able to move with the market's interests. And then our friends at Gender. Never ends with those guys. They're merger and acquisition monsters. Traded on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, over 2,000 facilities under their banner, and they've decided to move into the karaoke business. So they've just walked in and acquired the karaoke business away from Atom Corporations. They sit on about 23 karaoke facilities within the Japanese area under the Karaoke Jitu brand. I've had the misfortune to walk past and stick my head into a couple of these facilities in Tokyo. The usual salarymen, end of work, karaoke and booze kind of approach, but they also offer to the young schoolgirls the karaoke fun party area. Perfect example of competitive socializing, as in who's the best singer. more social entertainment than competitive socializing. But from this point of view, it is an interesting addition to genders, amusement, and Gashupo and crane business, and it's a logical addition. And I think we're heading towards that point where gender is going to have to admit that they're going to be developing a mule based around all of their concepts. But hey, they're in a perfect position. They've just done major acquisitions in the US market, which we'll be talking about more closer to March. And they're also looking now at a global expansion into other territories, Vietnam, Taiwan, and such like. So an interesting addition to their mix there. So let's jump into the trends. And the big news was that Google had walked up to HTC and said, "How much for your tech team?" And they have actually purchased a percentage of the technology team at HTC that was involved with their Vive and with their VR and their MR development. Google's coughed up about 250 million for these engineers, not all of the engineers, but a part of the engineers, also for non-exclusive to the IP. And this all helps with the rollout of their Android VR MR headset, which they're developing in conjunction with Samsung. This is a very interesting move. It means that rather than having to wag your own tail, you've purchased a tail from someone else. It also has some repercussions for us in the out-of-home entertainment sector, because HTC, the reason why their technology team is so specialized in VR is because of most of those guys have cut their teeth supporting the extensive deployment of HTC hardware into the location-based entertainment market. Most of the big franchises and chains had been using HTC hardware, the Vive and the Focus headsets, and even at last year's European Amusement Expo, HTC was pushing very heavily the narrative of the ubiquity of their deployment of their product. That said, we have seen the crack in the armor. People have now started to say that the support isn't what it used to be with HTC, and that they're now doing tests and looking at other headsets, Pico, Daipu, other companies that offer similar technology that's very similar to what our friends at HTC can offer. Just because you're first doesn't mean that you're exclusively first. And I think, again, being agnostic of the headsets is going to be a major part of the future for VR, but also expect, if you lose a percentage of your engineers to go off and work for Google, they're not going to be there to answer all of the technical questions that we're going to have in the commercial entertainment application. So again, be prepared to see maybe some changes in how this market is supported and who is the front-running headset system for those remaining VR supporters out there.
This is whoever the BD person was on the HTC side of things to make this deal happen and to get a non-exclusive IP partnership with Google deserves a bonus of some kind, because that's pretty remarkable given the size of the payment to have a non-exclusive IP from.
Not their first rodeo, though.
No, obviously it's not, but yeah.
HTC has sold to Google before a percentage of their engineering team to work on their mobile phone division. And I wouldn't be surprised if the person that cut that deal with the mobile phone deal with HTC and Google wasn't involved very strongly in this particular deal. But I agree with you. Nice to get a non-exclusive deal, because it means that you can jump back into the game no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And, just to give a snapshot to our audience regarding what's going on in the VR, MR, AR market at the moment. And, the poster child of this sector is Meta, and Meta Reality Labs was shouting in a number of media services that they'd seen a 40% increase in revenue that they generated in their business of selling augmented reality glasses, as well as their mixed reality and virtual reality headsets. But then, sadly, you have to put that into the sharp reality that they're making a loss during that period of $5 billion. So horses for courses, we've seen a freezing in spending within Meta. We've seen a pivot away from VR towards MR and AR and AI. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see more job layoffs from Meta Reality Labs as Mark Zuckerberg scales the operation down to a manageable size, because really we are seeing the VR sector being pushed aside from mixed reality and an augmented reality future. The augmented reality side is being supported by the smart glasses. Meta has seen great success selling their Ray-Ban augmented reality glasses compared to any of the sales that they've ever seen out of their virtual reality headsets. So it's obvious that they would pivot more towards that direction. And also the mixed reality sector has been infused by Apple's entry, no matter how rake stepping that entry has proven to be. It has increased interest in mixed reality, which sits between the glasses and the virtual reality headset. We have Samsung and Google, as I've said earlier, that will be rolling out their Android XR platform. And if those don't take off, then I'm sure the augmented reality glasses boys will jump into the fray. And this particular speculation on what the sales are going to be like for 2025, 2026 is, I think, real crystal ball gazing. But there are a lot of investors that have plowed a vast amount of money into VR that want to see some kind of return from head-mounted immersive technology.
I mean, I think the only way that AR has the opportunity to supersede VR, or even just survive at all, is if it truly is as easy as walking into a dark ride and grabbing your little 3D glasses, throwing them on. When you're done, you throw those 3D glasses in a bin that get cleaned. I think this is, cleaned and charged in this case, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's got to be something quick and easy that doesn't require somebody strapping on a cumbersome headset and just like the amount of time involved there.
What we like to call frictionless. We need to lower the level of friction. For our industry, commercial entertainment, what I've been talking about previously is the consumer side. And a lot of this was borne out by what we saw at CES. The consumer side of the technology is going through a baptism of fire again. VR hasn't achieved what they hoped it would. Mixed reality is a interesting demonstration technology, but again, we're not seeing people shove their hands in their pocket to buy this in quantity. And the only success story we have at the moment regarding augmented reality is the Ray-Ban system. So, surprise, surprise, a large number of the consumer electronics industry is now pivoting towards making smart glasses or mixed reality systems. We will have to wait and see who wins this out. And again, I can't stress this enough, if Apple decides to wait longer than 12 months or whatever to show their next iteration of their spatial computing headset system, then the whole of this house of cards could come crashing down around everybody's ear and relive what we saw happen in 1996 with the then failure of virtual reality to establish itself. Talking about technologies establishing themselves away from having to encumber yourself with a head-mounted display or smart glasses, and we have shared reality. No glasses needed, no 3D. We're using projection systems and tracked camera tracking ball systems, and we have a new entrant. Smash Swing is a company that has created a large screen tracked ball multiplayer experience, which is obviously targeting the golf sim sector that we were talking about previously, and is obviously targeting environments that have this kind of space. You could see one of the auditoriums at a cinema taken over by this kind of system. You could see a certain part of a bar being knocked through and turned into a larger auditorium for a multiple golf experience rather than having bays that we currently have. It's much more social. It's much more compelling. I would suggest that this is one of those things to keep an eye on regarding deployment and experience.
Yeah, I love the smash swing concept. The multiplayer aspect of it is what I really enjoy. Obviously, we've talked about golf sims, but it's the multiplayer and it's the games that you're playing. Because it's multiplayer. You're not just playing golf on a virtual course. You're actually trying to hit things, and as you're hitting the screen, things are popping up. So it's we should be great to maybe on LinkedIn post a video of one of some of the groups playing it, because it looks like a fun, entertaining experience as far as golf is concerned. And by the way, in the video, they show people not actually not swinging very well.
Yeah, the unique USPs about this system is that it's open to any level of skill within reason. It is a golf club by all means. It also has an automatic ball raising system for the tee, so that makes it very easy for novice players. It also has unique ball tracking technology, as you would need for multiple balls. So there's a lot of interest behind the scenes on what this does, and it's shared reality. Multiple users or multiple players is important, but shared reality where everybody's having fun and sharing the same experience together is compelling for the competitive socializing sector. Talking about competitive socializing and the gamification additions to the mini golf, we saw at EAG, our friends at 501 showing off their prototype new mini golf digital fusion. Our friends at Social Rivals have also launched their digital, physical golf mini golf experience. I expect other companies to jump into that, moving away from the physical set piece mini golf green, which has fixed furniture, and going for a digital approach means it's at a click of a mouse you can update these systems, and well, as you can make one hole its own private bay by having different game styles played through that, so the individuals don't have to walk around the whole facility. There's a lot of opportunities that this next generation tech-infused mini golf platforms bring to the table. And looking at another technology that is upscaling itself for possible inclusion in competitive entertainment, and that is boxing. We're all familiar with the success of the coin-operated test your skill boxing machine in the amusement sector. Well, that has taken a next stage on from the exergaming sector. In the exergaming scene, we are seeing a number of companies now developing exercise machines that are online connected and offer a level of engagement where you're competing for high scores, gamified exercise regimes. Well, systems like BoxBlitz and NextSys are all examples of that. But now we have amusement machines that are incorporating that. Our friends at Gender, through their Geigo chain, developed their own test your skill boxing video amusement machine based on an amusement concept where whoever hits the machine the highest to get to the highest score gets prizes. We're now seeing with the Boxer Online site, their style of systems, the same kind of thing where whoever kicks the ball or hits the punch the hardest progresses through the game and they get a high score. And these online connected machines can even be linked to tournament prizes and prize payouts. That is something we've seen with darts. That is something that we've seen with video amusement. And now we could see that with physical active games, such as the boxing and the kicking machines. An interesting opportunity. It's been thrown out there as a new aspect of the market. I wait to see this gain some more ground. Will this become as popular as a golden tee machine with championship scoring taking place? Brandon, do you have an opinion on
that? Well, I mean, so obviously people like to hit things. It's how long have we had those drop down boxing things that you have to hit, or you have to kick the ball as well. And so, I think people like this, we've had I don't know the exact name of it. We have the King Kong and Godzilla mix. Yep, exactly. And so you've got that. I mean, so I think this is a more overt boxing version, where you're hitting things. I mean, whack-a-mole's been around for a long time. Still one of my favorite amusement amusement machines. And so, anyway, I think to that end, yeah, I could see this being a thing. I think seeing a bunch of box blitzes in an amusement facility is probably unlikely, but more gamified versions of that certainly.
Yeah, we had the Speed of Light from LAI that wasn't boxing, but it is test your skill. That would be the closest equivalent we have to the box blitz type systems. When this was proffered in a discussion online about competitive boxing being the next big thing, I said, yeah, anything could be the next big thing if it's got a competitive element and it's compelling enough for the audience. It's just that it needs to be packaged correctly. And finally, the retro side and packaged correctly, our friends at Alan One have revealed that the next big release coming from them is another Atari retro recharge, this time with Missile Command being pushed into a amusement social entertainment package, big screen, multiplayer experience. I'm looking forward, hopefully at Amusement Expo in March, to get our hands on this, if not before. But we have precedents for this type of approach. We saw that from Raw Thrills with what they did with the Pac-Man machine and with the Space Invaders machine, with a big screen, a dumbed down version of the original game, recharged, reinvigorated for the audience that is used to playing the original, but also wants to have a kind of mobile phone app style play. Again, this particular product from Alan One, we hope it has the same high level of themality that they gave to the cabinets for their Asteroids recharged system. And again, I don't know if it is going to be redemption capable. Adam at Arcade Heroes went into more detail on his website about the launch of this machine, but I'm interested to see it. Anything that can bring the retro arcade machines to a new audience is fantastic. And going back to what I said previously in Open and Shut about running out of machines, classic original arcade machines, Space Invaders, Asteroids, you don't have to now depend on the original classics. Our future will be using these retro-inspired new interpretations of the machines being deployed as social entertainment packages.
This is, I've loved what Alan One has been doing. I love their Arabian Nights. I love their Asteroids Recharged. So to see this Missile Command, I think while I love the big format, the large format for Missile Command, I do think that they're probably missing, I don't know. I mean, maybe not. Maybe they gave a lot of thought to this. I'm sure they have. But I think to be able to have that same 2-player, 3-player experience that I was able to have with the Asteroids Recharged in a smaller cabinet format would be interesting as well. I mean, this is a lot of real estate to devote to a retro game on your game floor. And I hope it does well in the size. I love the cabinet. I love the sit-down experience. It looks like you're literally in some like old school Pentagon bunker, firing missiles. And so again, I think it's a cool system, but I do wonder how many, it's going to have to go into really large game floors. If you've got a small arcade, this is not going to fill up, if you've got a 20 or 30 game space, this is going to eat up too much of your floor space to justify it, I think.
I totally agree with you. I think they're coming the other way around. It's part of the reason why I included a picture of the Pac-Man machine. I think if they'd gone for the Pac-Man style version first and then come up with a deluxe version, a standard and a deluxe, that would have been a better approach. Hopefully there's still time for them to go down that path and consider that. But again, going for the big real estate grab is something that we've been seeing going on, a trend going on in the sector with all of the environmental cabinet style games that we were touching on during the EAG show. I wish them a lot of well with this, and we will hopefully get more detail behind the thinking on this machine in the first location tests of the system from Adam in the LBX show coverage coming forwards. Anyway, that's the main stuff that I want to cover in this particular sound off. If there's anything that I've touched upon, Brandon, that you want to speak about.
Oh, I think I've shared my thoughts already.
Right.
So yeah, this was it was a great sound off number 60. So thank you, Kevin, for spending some time with us, walking us through all the latest trends. To everyone else, we'll see you on the next show.